Hey everyone, I am Equindio, and I am absolutely thrilled you're joining me for this explainer. Okay, let's just jump right in because today we are unpacking a cultural moment that practically broke the internet. We're talking about the triumphant, incredibly viral return of the live streaming king himself, Habib Hamzat, but you probably know him as Peller. Fresh off that totally headline-making romantic engagement in Ghana, Peller brought his beautiful new fiancée, Jarvis, back to his roots in Ikorodu, Lagos. And let me tell you, the reception was well, it was absolutely explosive. We're going to break down exactly how a simple homecoming turned into a downright phenomenon.
Breaking news, right? Ikorodu practically stood still. This wasn't just your average weekend visit. This was an event that commanded the attention of an entire city. Imagine the sheer chaos, the rapid-fire energy of the streets just completely locking down. When a local guy who has totally conquered the digital world comes back home, man, the normal rules of traffic in quiet neighborhoods, they go straight out the window. Every single corner, every street, suddenly morphed into this buzzing epicenter of excitement, all because the internet's favorite star had finally touched down.
I mean, hundreds upon hundreds of people instantly flooded the streets. We're talking a literal wall-to-wall sea of humanity here. The usual rhythm of the neighborhood was instantly hijacked by the thumping, rapid pulse of a massive crowd, just desperate to celebrate one of their own. It is such a wild testament to the real-world power of digital fame. You know, when that online persona suddenly steps into the physical world, the reaction is honestly nothing short of an earthquake. And the crazy part? What was supposed to be a simple, private family visit, just a son bringing his future wife home to meet the folks, was completely overtaken by the massive reality of Peller's fame. The second his presence was known, that private little visit mutated into a full-blown mini carnival. The streets literally transformed into a festival. It just goes to show, when you've captured the public's heart like he has, you don't really get to do quiet anymore.
The frenzy hit an absolute fever pitch. People were literally climbing on top of vehicles, stretching up as high as humanly possible, just to catch one single, fleeting glimpse of Peller and Jarvis. You could hear the crowd just screaming at the top of their lungs, shouting things like, "Peller is home," and "Jarvis, we love you," echoing through the streets. They were completely overwhelmed by the moment. This wasn't just casual fandom, folks. This was a desperate, electric desire to witness internet royalty right there in the flesh.
So while the physical streets were absolute pandemonium, the digital streets were equally on fire. The energy was undeniably electric. But what makes this a true modern phenomenon is that the entire world was watching it unfold live. This wasn't some isolated local event. It was a globally broadcasted celebration. The chaotic, joyous noise of the Ikorodu streets was being beamed instantly into the phones of fans absolutely everywhere, perfectly merging this crazy local street carnival with a massive, interactive global audience in real time. Okay, let's all take a collective breath here. We're going to step away from the blaring horns, the shouting crowds, and that whole mini carnival outside, and we're walking right through the front door. We're transitioning from that massive, chaotic exterior into the quiet, intimate sanctuary of the family living room. Because this is where the real heart of our story takes place, away from the flashing cameras, and back to where it all began. Inside that sanctuary, the magic really happened. Peller officially introduced Jarvis to his family, including his dad. And in this incredibly warm, hilarious, and just deeply playful exchange, he actually jokingly warned his father not to get, quote, too close to his beautiful new fiancée. It is just such a grounded, universally relatable moment, right? You have this massive megastar, but the second he's standing in front of his dad, he's really just a son cracking jokes and showing off his amazing partner. It really shows that beneath all the viral fame, there is this beautiful, grounded reality. The room was absolutely packed with these heartwarming family moments. Just pure laughter, gentle teasing, and deep, genuine affection between the newly engaged couple and the family. Videos of these intimate interactions quickly spread across social media, pulling in thousands of reactions. Fans just couldn't get enough of seeing this softer, loving side of Peller and Jarvis. It humanizes them in the most beautiful way possible. But you know, the visit wasn't all just jokes and laughter. It was also a moment for some really profound reflection. Peller took the time to publicly acknowledge his remarkable rise to fame, and more importantly, exactly who helped him get there. He directly credited his father's prayers, his unwavering support, and his constant encouragement for helping him overcome some really severe hardships. And this is exactly why this homecoming matters so much. It's a deeply emotional acknowledgement that his massive success is built entirely on the foundation of his family's faith in him during his absolute hardest times. Because let's be real, he didn't become a live streaming king overnight. From incredibly humble beginnings as just a local boy with a dream, he overcame immense hardships, anchored entirely by that family support we just talked about, to build a massively successful career in content creation. He didn't just stumble into becoming one of Nigeria's most influential online personalities. It was a serious journey of resilience. And his undeniable path perfectly illustrates how a boy from Ikorodu evolved into true internet royalty.
15 million. Let that staggering figure sink in for just a second. Peller commands an audience of over 15 million followers on TikTok alone. And that fan base, it's rapidly growing every single day. That is not just a follower count. That is literally the population of a small country tuning in to watch his every move. It completely cements the unbelievable, massive scale of his reach, and it perfectly explains why a simple trip home caused an entire city to just stand still.
So why does all of this matter to you and me? Well, because Peller's journey from a struggling local boy to an absolute superstar is a massive beacon of hope. He has become a huge inspiration to millions of youth across Nigeria and beyond. His story is living proof that your background does not dictate your future. When the youth in that Ikorodu crowd were climbing on cars, they weren't just looking at a celebrity. They were looking at living, breathing proof that it is entirely possible to overcome hardship and achieve your wildest dreams through creativity and pure perseverance.
So let's look at the sheer momentum they've built up. First, it all kicked off with that headline-making, insanely romantic proposal in Ghana that just captured everyone's hearts. Second, because of his massive platform, absolutely every move he makes now commands intense nationwide attention, as we clearly saw on the streets of his hometown. And finally, through their affectionate banter and that deep, obvious connection, Peller and Jarvis have undeniably cemented their status as the internet's absolute favorite couple. Which really brings us to the ultimate question. We've seen the romantic engagement, we've witnessed the absolute street-level frenzy and the heartwarming family embraces of the homecoming. The momentum behind these two is like a freight train right now. So, I'm going to leave you with this provocative thought to ponder. Judging by this massive, earth-shaking welcome, what in the world is the internet's favorite couple going to do next? Thank you so much for joining me, Ekundayo, on this explainer. Stay curious, everyone.